Welcome to our home. Let's go check out the collection. Resisted cassettes when they came out, when they got big in the early 80s. Never wanted to get into cassettes. They always broke. Um, they would always be warped sounding, whereas records, you could always count on records to play. Um, Eventually, though, I did succumb to the cassette revolution and stopped buying records for a long, long time. Um, and then after I was able to get my mom and dad's record collection, and then Heather's mom's and dad's collection to add to what I had picked up over the years, that really spurred me to get back into it. Queen the Game was probably the first one that I ever bought. This came out, I think, in 1980. Um, and of course, I loved another one, Bites the Dust, and had to get the full album. Um, this is one of the albums that, on the label they don't list the times, but then for some reason when I was a kid I timed to some of the songs inside too and wrote it down there.
I love it.
Just, it's for reference, but I guess I got bored with the project because I never finished it. The coolest thing that we have in our collection actually comes from Heather. And this was something that she bought when she was 8 or 9, I guess. The Sugar Hill Gang Rapper's Delight 12-inch. The long version on side 1 and the short version on side 2. And her sister actually wrote her initials on it, JM, to claim it.
I love it.
But you can see where it wound up. Jennifer has no claim to this record. I know I've gotten rid of a few over the years. There's one that actually belonged to my sister that when I was going through the collection at home, when mom and dad were finally getting rid of the whole vinyl stash, my sister had She's So Unusual by Cyndi Lauper on vinyl. And, that was one at the time. I guess I thought I was still too cool to listen to Cyndi Lauper, and I was like, nah, y'all can, take that to, the pawn shop or wherever they were going to, do with the leftovers. But that's one that I really wish that I'd held on to, is that She's So Unusual.
You wish you would have kept it.
Yeah, yeah.
There's-
That's a cool record to listen to. One of the first records I got, probably about the same time as I got Queen the Game, was Billy Squier's Don't Say No. This had The Stroke on it. It was the last record he put out before he made that awful video that tanked his career. So this was when Billy Squier, sort of his last gasp of legit rock stardom. I loved this album when I was a kid. And somehow it disappeared from my collection over the years. And when I was getting it organized, I discovered Billy Squier, Don't Say No, it's gone. And actually, it was one night at your place when it was over there on Jerry Jones. It was one of those, it might have been the night that Tarp Tarrant came to talk, or the record trade night or something, but some guy came in trying to peddle a bunch of shitty rock records to you, and you were like, no, I'm not going to take any of those, sorry. But he had this one, and I was like, I'll take that one off your hands, because I've been looking for a replacement copy.
Perfect.
Don't Say No. Lately, inspired by Heather, who has been into Steely Dan since I've known her, and in fact, we've had the album Asia in our collection as long as we've been together. But I've finally gotten around to investigating the entirety of that catalog. That's a band that I'd never really listened to outside of the radio hits before, and then the Asia album. So I've come into Red Door a couple of times lately and picked up some of those old Steely Dans that you've got. So that's what I've been checking out lately is just Katy Lied, Countdown to Ecstasy, Pretzel Logic, just these great albums, just front to back, awesome songs that just have been unknown to me, for years. And that's how it goes with me. I'll find a band that I'm into, either an old band or a band that's like putting out records now. Like right now, a band that's putting out records right now is Parquet Courts. And I love Parquet Courts. And
Which albums do you have of Parquet Courts?
I've got two. I've got the Live at Third Man Records that they just put out, and then I've got the Monastic Living EP that came out, I guess, late last year. They've got a new one coming out in April, that I've got pre-ordered. It comes with a silk screen by Austin Savage. So that'll be cool. I've been picking up, they put out a couple of limited edition split 7 inches lately that I've gotten.
Is there anything you can show us?
Yeah, sure. Right over here. This is one that I got from a record store in the Netherlands. This Vera is like a record store slash, I don't know, just music emporium in the Netherlands. And I guess they host bands that play there, and they're putting out a series of 45s. This is Parquet Courts and another band called Big Ups, live at Vera. I love finding out what the latest great new rock band is, what the latest great new rock records are, and I like getting them on a record and listening to them on record. A band that I've gotten into is Sheer Mag out of Philadelphia, and I went to New York last summer to see them and another band called Royal Headache play, and I had downloaded Sheer Mag's stuff. They had like 2 7-inches out. I downloaded everything they had off of Bandcamp, so so I knew the material. And then at the club, they had the merch table set up. They got T-shirts and everything, and they had the 7 inches out. And early in the night, I was thinking, I'm going to get a T-shirt, but I've already got the songs. I'm not going to bother picking up the 7 inches. But then by the end of the show, I was like, I'm getting those damn 7 inches too. All right, and then there's like there's stuff like this that you get in there. The poster slash lyric sheet. To me, all those things that you find in records really do. I don't know. It like solidifies the connection with the music to me. I listen to plenty of stuff online. I'll listen to Spotify, download stuff all the time, but that stuff does not have the same kind of feeling of permanence as when you've actually got the artifact. Well, another one that I really like a lot that I just talked about is Royal Headache from Australia. A couple of years ago, Matador was putting out a series of singles where you're supposed to get one in the mail every month, and Royal Headache was one of the bands that was slated for, I think, 2013 schedule, and I was like, oh my God, I got to subscribe to that single series to get this new Royal Headache record. So these are 2 songs that weren't on the first album. They're not on the new album. You can download these, but this is the record, and I like having the record. This is another one that I got through that series. Superchunk, sort of an older band, but
Wow.
They're putting out new stuff now too. This is a song called "I Hate History" that's not on any of their albums. And I haven't even been able to find it like on YouTube. Like, no one has uploaded it to YouTube. So when I want to put on I Hate History, which I love, I think it's an amazing song, the best thing Superchunk's ever done, you got to throw on the record. I just, haven't been able to find it online at all. Or there's this Ty Segall Manipulator that came out last year. This is just a great double album, just like this total garage rock extravaganza. I'm particularly fond of side 2 of this set, and that's one of the things I really do love about albums is the way that the different sides will have different personalities. You can put on side 1 of Led Zeppelin 4, for example, and it's going to make you feel totally differently from how side 2 is going to make you feel. Led Zeppelin in particular, all those albums, just side 1, side 2, Physical Graffiti, side 3, side 4, is just totally different experiences every time you drop the needle, at the beginning of the record.
Do you still have any of those Led Zeppelin albums that you
I
originally
do,
had?
in fact. They've been putting out those reissues, and I haven't really made a point of buying those except for the ones that I did not already have on vinyl. I was buying Led Zeppelin when I was conflicted between LPs and cassettes, so sometimes I would buy the album and sometimes I would buy the cassette. But, Led Zeppelin 4, this is something that I got for Christmas when I was 14 years old, I think. Let's see. Led Zeppelin 2, Led Zeppelin 3, and Presence are all the ones that I never had on vinyl originally. So I have bought the reissues of those. They sound incredible. Um, Physical Graffiti, Houses of the Holy, had all this stuff when I was a teenager in high school. I've had this right here for like 30 years probably. And I still listen to it, I still throw it on, and if I want to feel mellow and trippy, it's side 3. If I want to get down with the classics and jam, it's side 2. I mean, it's just, the individual sides are suited to different moods. Yeah, I was thrilled to come across this original cover copy of Appetite for Destruction a couple of years ago. This was the original artwork that Geffen Records recalled pretty much immediately upon release. I guess you can see why. This is cool. I mean, this the shrink wrap on it. It's got the sticker, which tells you that it features the single "Welcome to the Jungle" as featured in the Deadpool, which was, I think, the last of the Dirty Harry movies. And in that movie, Jim Carrey plays a rock star who is lip syncing "Welcome to the Jungle." This has like a sticker in it too that I debate whether or not I want to put on the back of my car or a guitar case or something, or just keep. But again, that's just that physical connection that you don't get with a digital file. I like the size of the records. There's just, I don't know, just something cool about having something this big to contemplate while you're listening to it. Another record where, talking about how the size sort of influenced my perception of it, I had this year's Model by Elvis Costello in various formats over the years, but had never had it on vinyl.
Great cover.
Yeah. And when you see it this big, you really sense that malevolence in his eyes in a way that you don't when you're looking at a smaller picture of it. And, it really informed my sense of just how creepy some of this record is, just seeing that big picture of him. Another current artist that I'm into a lot is Mac DeMarco. I've made it a point of buying all his new stuff on vinyl when it comes out. Saw him in October in Atlanta when the new EP came out. I had seen him at Shaky Knees in Atlanta a couple of months before that. Mac DeMarco, the albums are full of such serious songs. I mean, there is heartbreak and longing in those songs, but then he's just a goofball on stage, and it's pretty funny to see him. One of my favorite bands of all time is Guided by Voices. I've got a couple of things of theirs on vinyl. There's just, you can't get all this stuff on vinyl. There's just way too much of it. But I do have Cool Planet, which was the next to the last one they put out before breaking up again. And I've got a reissue of B-1000. That's another thing that I just always had on CD before. I love finally having it on vinyl, being able to listen to side 1, flip it over, kick off side 2 with Gold Star for Robot Boy, and just feel the different moods instead of just the imposed long narrative of the CD. I love going to see bands live. In the 90s, I loved to go see Aerosmith live. It's not something I'm particularly proud of, but that's who I was, 25 years ago. When I was in high school, I loved Aerosmith. This is their first album. Actually pretty different from the direction they would eventually take. This has got Mama Kin on it, which is a great rock song. A lot of kind of half-assed bluesy rock songs on this, but a couple of nice ones. They still played Mama Kin when I saw them live, which was cool. And then I've got a vinyl edition of the original cassette-only live release, The Shit Hits the Fans. This was actually the last thing they put out on Twin Tone before moving over to Reprise. And this record is legendary for capturing the Replacements at their most shit-faced ridiculous. it lists all these songs. They, maybe finished two of them. They actually do a good job when there's like a section in the middle of side one where they do play some originals, and they nail those, but then they veer back into just a series of drunken covers. I mean, you can look how many songs are on side two. That's like, what, 15? They play like 3 bars of Jailbreak before giving it up, things like that. This is fun. It's not really what you'd call a quality listen, but it's just, if you're a fan, it's the kind of thing you want to have. This is Sleater-Kinney's Start Together, which collects their first 7 studio albums. It was released towards the end of 2014, and I guess the first batch of people who got it were surprised when they opened it up to find a vinyl 45 of a new song, Bury Our Friends, which was the first inkling anyone had that new Sleater-Kinney music was coming out. Sleater-Kinney is one of my favorite bands. I love these records. These are great records to sit and listen to with headphones on, because listening to these women play guitar, one in the left channel, one in the right channel, and just the way they ricochet off each other, it's really educational and enlightening to hear how they're making that sound. This one and All Hands on the Bad One, I think, are my favorites. I've been listening to both of those a lot lately. It's great to finally have these on vinyl. I don't even know if they were all originally put out on vinyl, but they're out there now, and I love it. First album that I ever got into when I was a kid was my mom and dad's copy of Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. My sister and I would play this and make up like stories with dolls with this album as like a soundtrack to it, and we were 8 and 9 years old. And so this is one that I was lucky to get from them. My dad actually had a pretty nice stash of Dylan records. Highway 61, John Wesley Harding, a couple of the ones from the 70s. My dad took such great care of his records. That's what he bought in 1966, and that's in like near mint shape. He just took really good care of it.
What are some other albums that your wife's family contributed to your collection?
They actually contributed a lot of Latin music that I would never have been exposed to otherwise. A lot of like salsa party records, stuff I guess they would put on, and just invite the in-laws over and just get down to the salsa records. They've got a couple of Willie Colon records that that I've gotten into, and it's just cool to have that stuff that I never would have been drawn to otherwise, and be able to explore that avenue of music as well. It might surprise a lot of people to learn that I went to see Taylor Swift live in Atlanta back in October. My sister is a huge Taylor Swift fan. I had the opportunity to get her tickets for her birthday to go see her at the Georgia Dome. And so in preparation for the show, I wanted to do a little homework. So, I bought the album 1989 to learn all the new Taylor Swift songs. I had been familiar with Shake It Off, of course, which I unashamedly love. I think that's an amazing song. The rest of the album I don't think is quite up to that standard, but it's a cool sounding record. A lot of great keyboard sounds, a lot of great guitar playing. Got this in January, in fact. The first really nice turntable that I've ever had, really. It's something that I have wanted for a long time, and finally able to get it, an amp, a couple of nice speakers to go with it, and it has really revolutionized my listening experience. After I got the whole system set up, one of the first records I put on that really made me appreciate just the difference in sound quality from even a CD, and especially an MP3, was this Nightclubbing by Grace Jones. This is actually one of Heather's favorite albums, if not her favorite album. Um, the song Nightclubbing in particular, I was sitting there on the couch, letting the sound from the speakers wash over me, and you could hear like the hi-hat over there in the right hand corner, and you could hear the guitar player coming from over there, just nuances that I had never been aware of. Listening to that song probably hundreds of times, in the car on a CD, MP3 player, whatever. But that was the first time I felt like I really heard it.